take it to the max again. I got news. Don't you know the saying? If you break it, pay. Every time I'm hanging on. Yeah, it figures it's my way, it's my life, it's my game, so you better get out. I will never be your woman. I will never be your woman. I'm gonna pack my
Good day, good evening, good night, whenever you decide to consume this content. Thank you and welcome to Thirsty Thursday. Now, for those who don't know, Thirsty Thursday is a weekly long show where some sucker gets put in a hot seat. Whether it's a turf professional, whether it's a lawn influencer, or whether it's a avid, obsessed, crazy homeowner. And you know what we do? We put those people in the hot seat and we analyze them. We scrutinize them, well, mainly after the show, and we help them. We give this person advice. And by listening, you too can get some of this good advice. So I am your host. I am in the hot seat tonight, but that's not what's important. The other people around here is what's important. And a lot of times these people don't tell you. It's the three people that are important here tonight. The three kings of turf, the three disciples of dirt. It's the holy trinity of agronomy. We have the Matt, the Ray, and the Demay. Well, my name is Telly Coleman, and I'm in the hot seat. I got my drink. I'm going to sit back and let these three professionals take over. And everyone who's listening, thank you. This is Thirsty Thursday.
I got to say, intro of the year right there. We need to clip that and that become the new intro for every Thirsty Thursday. Easy.
Man, I like the that was like SNL cold open. I love that. We gotta,
yeah,
it
that was great.
Musical
Telly.
guest tonight, The Doors.
yeah. Even though Jim Morrison's dead. All right.
Yeah, that was a strange callback that came into my head. I was trying to think of the Nashville band, since Telly's from Nashville. The one those damn hippies that have the real bad drinking problem. That do Kings of Leon is who I was trying to think of.
Are they big drunks? Are they big drunks?
I think the lead singer is a bad drunk, and that's why they broke up. I think he's got a little Oasis issue that circles in. I've read that somewhere. I may have read that on a not so reputable website too. So forgive me. Allegedly, he has a drinking problem. I don't know.
Was that the
BuzzFeed,
the hardest drinking partying frontmen that are still alive, and you won't believe number 7?
Yeah,
Jim Morris probably make that top 10. Sorry.
BuzzFeed, Vox, maybe. Could have been Vox. I don't know. But
I can see you wasting countless hours looking at Vox or BuzzFeed late at night when you can't sleep. I can totally see that.
Just seething while I read it and be like, how dare they? How dare they? That son of a
we need to do that.
Drunk. I'll show you a drunk. He's a nobody. That guy's a nothing.
I tell you, could you imagine, Telly Coleman, you tell me this, could you imagine if we made up our own list, like our own BuzzFeed list of like the top 10 YouTube lawns and the people that we would leave out and the people that we would put in the wrong position, and just how absolutely pissed people would get? That would be A+ content. A+ content.
Oh yeah, I would watch that definitely.
We're going to do that. That'll be a Christmas present to you. Do your top 10 or you do your awards, Matt. We'll do a top 10 on top of that on the Grass Factor channel.
Look, 3 of the top 10 have to be 4-inch tall Bermuda grass, just to send people to outer space.
And because we're woke, Ray, we've got to have 1 token centipede lawn in there. I'm telling you right now, we have to do it.
Right?
Golly,
to be centipede.
To be species diverse, we gotta have that. Oh, see, we gotta have it. So, Ray, we're really counting on you, or Matt's gonna go out and find something somewhere close by. Maybe drive down there to
walk my neighborhood. I can find that.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Wait a minute.
Where
Though.
you are?
No, I don't. My mom has centipede all over the place. That's the first type of grass I ever cut, centipede.
Wait, is your mom in Alabama?
Southern Alabama, close to the Florida line, a place called, Florala, around Florala area.
Okay.
Florala.
Okay.
Florala.
Yeah, I have. There's a lot of pretty sounding towns over there. I know my parents were looking over there. They settled on Navarre Beach, but not far from
nice.
Alabama, right there.
That's nice.
That's interesting. Ray, you've been quiet over there. What's going through your head? Are we on this topic du jour death today? Are we going to make it through the next 3 hours without covering it?
It depends because I think Telly and I already covered death in the pre-show before you got on.
Yeah, we had to
We
stop
already
ourselves
covered-
from talking. We kept on going on and on. We were like, wait, we need to stop and say this for the main show because we were getting a little carried away.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Ray,
we had
what's
to
the
kind of
background? What's the background there?
okay.
That's a serious
Okay.
nomination line. Some people are getting hard
Okay.
looking at that.
Okay.
Careful how you phrase this, Ray.
Yes. All right. You see this dark green stuff, on one side of me? This
Yeah.
is Xeon Zoysia that normally gets mowed with a Toro Greensmaster.
Okay.
This weird looking stuff on the other side is Emerald Zoysia that gets the string trimmer with the thickest, coarsest line that you can possibly put into a string trimmer.
And you're doing that?
No.
That's what I said.
Oh!
Ryan. Ooh.
I'm just making sure. Like you said it
No,
in such a way.
Ryan,
that
I don't
You gotta-
own
you
a
gotta
string
worry.
trimmer. I don't own a string trimmer, honestly.
I didn't know if this was some 50 Shades of Grey lawn that you've got where you do
No.
some different things. There's no judgment
No.
here, Ray. However
I know. There's
however you want to whack it down, man. I'm good with it.
no. But then, okay, that is where. Okay, for the viewers, I frequently talk about it on the Discord. This is an example of what that looks like when a lawn is mowed with a string trimmer, and the lawn sauce has it right because the truth is that the lawn sauce literally lives about 20 minutes from where this actual lawn is. So
All right,
he's
so
got it quite right.
I want to describe a situation, Ray. I'm not sure if you ever listened to the Ryan Knorr podcast. So there was a person that wrote in and asked us a question about there was mulch, literally like 6 inches of mulch all over the lawn. And somebody asked, hey, can I just seed into that with grass? Like put some soil down or some compost and till that all together and just make grass. And they're from Virginia, right? I sat there and I listened to this. And the first thing that came to my mind was, and I said this, and I probably shouldn't have said this, but I said, Virginia is for lovers, but somebody fucking hated this lawn. And I feel like looking at that picture, that right there, somebody hates that lawn. I don't know why you have grass in your lawn. Those are the people that should have rocks for yards. So
okay, and there's a further story to it. I actually gave the owner of that Emerald Zoysia lawn a price to maintain it properly. And I hear back from him a week later, and he tells me, thank you for your estimate. I think I'll keep looking.
Hey, not everybody's a good fit for the Green Duck. I mean, if Matt Martin can play hardball, right? Ray is playing like intergalactic baseball. I'm saying Matt Martin hey, you're not a good fit, right? How many times, maybe you did or didn't, right? But how many times did you spray a lawn just out of pure spite because you did not like the person and use that as a motivation to get through it and get to the next one? Be honest.
Listen, way more than I care to admit. Way more. The stupid things I have done.
If you got hate in your heart, brother, let it out.
I'll tell you what I did one time. There was a guy who said he was not pleased with the color of his lawn. This is back in my True Green days, and this is back when you could carry ammonium nitrate on the truck too. And so I ammonium nitrated this guy's lawn, not once but twice over it. And man, I got a service call that must have been like, I don't know, 2 weeks later or something like that. And I go out there and immediately the guy was like, you listen here, MFer, I don't know what you put on my yard, but don't you ever make it grow like that ever again. And I may have come back when he wasn't there and done it another time just to add insult to injury.
Hey,
and that
you know
kind
what?
of became something I carried with me from that point forward. Was if anyone ever complained about color, whenever I was in the neighborhood, I would go ahead and just fertilize it and have that sumbitch growing so fast that they would I would continue to fertilize it until they called me and told me, stop whatever it is you're doing, it's too much.
Okay, I could imagine from my end, what if a drum of UAN liquid found its way into my spray mix? You know what
Sometimes,
UAN is?
Ray, you just got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Urea ammonium nitrate.
But on the but on the other hand,
3200 hot sauce.
32 liquid. But then, ironically, I've never really had that. I've never had people get snotty with me about that, because do you know what they realize? I'm managing their turf such that when I leave, when I'm done with what I'm doing, they don't have frickin' trash cans overflowing with grass clippings, because I control the growth of the grass and I, keep it acceptably green, but I'm not creating another issue. Whereas maybe their previous guy, he'd be throwing like a lot of slow release urea on the lawn. And they'd have bags and cans of grass clippings after every mow. And Matt, you do understand that here in Hawaii, when that happens, there's literally nowhere for that stuff to go.
Ray, pretty much no matter where you're at in Tennessee, as long as you're outside of the downtown area of the major cities, there's nothing but space for grass clippings and whatever it is you want to put out there. Cars in the driveway, an RV in the backyard, a swimming pool, a basketball. You could put whatever. We've got space for days.
You can get a barrel and burn it all if you need to. With diesel.
Exactly.
You can turn a barrel into a grill, into a barbecue grill if you want to.
Yeah, I've seen that where, true or false, Matt, you can basically run what I call an incinerator. And what that is that's a metal drum that feeds air, and the air swirls, and you can use
in the bottom of the drum? Yeah, everybody does that.
You can basically use that to consume anything combustible. Just burn it to ash. But
right. You don't even have to have trash service at all. No trash service at all. You just put all your trash from the week in that incinerator. I mean, that's commonplace. I mean,
yeah.
Listen, our
can't do that in Hawaii?
boxes. I feel terrible about throwing away all the boxes. So I burn all of our Amazon boxes that we get. Whenever we order anything and it comes in a box, I collect the boxes, break them down, take them out to the burn pile, and burn them every time. I refuse to throw them
away. Confession.
Yeah.
I have a burn cage behind my house that gets used.
I told you, Ray, you're a redneck, whether you choose to admit it or not.
You're
red
Matt,
as hell.
I embrace it. Okay, Matt, I embrace it. I mean, I'm not gonna hide. I'm not gonna think that I'm all bougie or whatever. No, I mean, in actual practice, I might as well be a little Matt.
Telly, we need to take Ray to go eat chicken fried steak one day. I think that may be something missing from his diet up there. By the way, Telly, if you met a guy from the South, this happened to me the other day. I met someone in the South who did not know what chicken fried steak was, and I could have slapped them forward and backwards. I was blown away.
Matt?
Was he born in the South, or did he transition to the South?
From Kentucky, and did not know what chicken fried steak is. How do you come from the land of KFC and not know what it is? You're broken.
Matt, I gotta counter that, because up until a couple years ago, I used to get frozen chicken fried steaks from Walmart and fry them up, in lard. They're already ready to eat, but I'd fry them up
Oh
in
yeah,
lard and eat them
you country.
on a
You're
big
country. You're from
on
the
a big
South.
on, on a
I'm
big
about to
plate of
say
mashed
from with the
potatoes
lard and stuff. Yeah, you know what you're
and
doing.
gravy.
Oh yeah, the chicken fried steak gravy. It's not the
Yeah.
Yeah,
brown gravy. It's the whitish like cement
it's like
gravy. Oh, that's so good.
yeah,
Oh my
it's
god,
it's
I need to
milk
go get some
gravy,
now.
and it's like it's got like the black pepper floating in it, and I just put that
Yes.
whole
Oh,
thing,
dude.
a plate full of mashed potatoes, and just dig in. So I know what chicken fried steak is, and I actually miss it a little. I miss it a
That is
little.
And the main thing about it, chicken fried steak is not for the Germans schnitzel. Schnitzel's very similar, but it's not the same thing. Schnitzel's a little bit tougher, and they have a gravy on that too. No, can't compare.
Actually, I've made a good, authentic Wiener Schnitzel as well. And the key to that one is you have to take the veal cutlet and put it in between wax paper or parchment paper and pound that stuff thin. And then you dip it in the egg and the breading. And traditionally, they fry in butter. But Telly, I prefer lard because it gets crispier.
And we will all die when we're 60 years old of congestive heart
Bullshit.
failure.
No, bullshit. Because Telly,
Maybe.
my cholesterol and my triglycerides are such that the last time the doctor looked at my blood work, he told me, I wish the rest of my patients had blood that looked like mine. Because my cholesterol and triglycerides are always low.
Ray goes to the Brazilian
Welcome-
steakhouse and doesn't ever turn his card red. They just kick him out. They're just like, dude, you're done,
Sir.
essay. Out.
Sir, it's time to go. Time to go. Welcome to the Food Network. I hope you enjoyed the
For real.
tidbit there from Emerald Lagasse of Hawaii, teaching us about schnitzel and chicken fried steak. But
Hey, did you get? Oh, well,
But-
that would you're on Food Network now. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you got out of your contract with HGTV, Matt. Oh, okay, that's cool.
that is real inside
Yep.
baseball there.
Sure.
Telly, talk to us. You're here. You're on the show. Thank you for being our guest tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm glad someone else from Tennessee's here. So
Yeah, that's right. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. If people don't know, I originated from Alabama, and there's nothing really going on in Alabama. There's nothing really going on in Alabama. So I decided to join the Army, and I wound up here. Long story short, we can travel back on that and everything. But let's start off with the first time I mowed a lawn. The first time I mowed a lawn, I was in Alabama, and I had, like I said in the past, centipede lawn. We lived in low-income housing, and it was ranch-style housing, and it was all divided up. So everybody was responsible for like 1,500 square feet. But you're living in low-income housing. You're not going to buy a lawnmower for 1,500 square feet, except for me. I was a lawnmower guy. And I was like Walmart. I undercut everybody. Now, it may be showing my age. It may be showing my age on how much I charge per 1,500 square feet. I charge $3.50 for 1,500 square feet. Now, this was, this is 14-year-old me. And, I that's just to get them in the door. I did it like 2 or 3 times. Everybody else moved out the way. Then I jacked them prices up right down to $10. And that was great because, I can get, in the 1980s, $10 will get you a lot. I mean, that's more than $10 will fill up your car twice. So, it was great as a teenager getting that kind of money. And in 1,500 square feet, I didn't do nothing but mow it. I didn't blow it. It was just mowed. and everybody was happy with it. So that's my first taste of lawn care. After that, joined the Army. And when you're in the Army, you're in a place for 2-3 years and you move on. You really don't have time. Well, I guess turf therapy did, but you don't have time to really, you don't have time to really set your roots down and really get a good lawn. But after I got out the military, I decided to save my money up and buy a house that I'm proud of, that I want to stay in for a long time. And then that's a little bit of my background story. I joined the Army because of all the wrong reasons. I wanted them to pay my bills. And then I was in the desert so quick, it wasn't even funny. But they paid my bills. And that's a little bit about me. I don't know how far you want me to go to.
Where all did you go when you were in the Army?
One place, the desert. That's all. Well, I basically different parts of the desert: the rocky desert, the sandy desert, the desert. But I wasn't digging ditches. I was telling people to dig ditches because I went to college first, and I was actually a warrant officer, so I was flying helicopters at the time. So don't do it now. I even did it when I got out. I was a part of Life Flight for many years, and just recently got out of that, and now new adventures, new things, and I'm moving on.
Yeah, so I knew Robert was going to show up. I'm sure y'all got some Army jokes that y'all can crack on each other.
Probably so.
I won't understand, but all right. So you were flying helicopters. What kind of helicopter did you fly?
I flew the Apache. That's the helicopter I flew, and it was pretty fun. It was hard flying over here in the United States because they have telephone poles. And they have telephone wires, and you would hit those, and there's a possibility. No, I didn't hit them, but there's a possibility of hitting those. But when you're in the desert, this really doesn't happen. Part of the reason I didn't re-enlist is because it's a very stressful job. You never go around and look around and see a helicopter pilot with a lot of hair and with no gray hair. And that's because they train a lot in the United States, and it's just very stressful. It's night flying, and you're going up and down, and you're stressing out. I had a big bald spot right here in the top of my head, and I was like, nah, it's too much. I was getting ulcers and stuff, so I didn't re-up. They asked me to, and they paid me a lot. They offered me a lot of money to re-up, but it's not worth it. So then I came here and started flying helicopters.
Yeah, what did you fly? What did you fly here?
Well, I flew for Vanderbilt. I flew a Life Flight helicopter. They have like proprietary helicopters that they fly. And
okay, so it wasn't like a Robinson R-44 or a Airbus.
It was based on
a
Robertson, but it was it was a proprietary
So
something that they
essentially,
have.
it's basically an ambulance with a propeller on it, pretty much, right?
Right.
Yeah. You kind of told me about that.
And there was a lot of adventures and stuff like that. And being from the military, I was a little more aggressive. But, sitting here in Nashville, which is right there close to a major Army base, in which they had an influx of people who were just out of the military, they did not pay you very well. So I was like, it came to a point in time in which, is this really worth it? Yeah, it's fun to do, but, you got to put food on your table. You got to pay your bills. And the job that I had before joining the Army would actually pay more than Life Flight. So that's a little bit about my history. It's non-turf related, but, we'll get there.
You've done a lot more in your life than I have. Listen, if we had to compare things, one, I've never been to a desert. I've never saved anybody's life. I've never been in a helicopter. I've never.
I offered to take you in a helicopter and you refused.
Listen, I'm scared of heights. Okay, like legit freaked out of heights. My own height. We're the same height, aren't we, Telly? When you look down, do you get nervous at how high up you are in the air? I do. I can get dizzy just looking at my feet sometimes. No shit. It's a weird thing I have. I can't, when I change light bulbs, if I can't stand on the floor and change it with just my reach, I don't want to stand on a stool to change it. It freaks me out. I will stand on my tippy toes and sidearm the thing until I get it done before I stand up on a stool because it makes me so uncomfortable.
So
A
honestly, my
helicopter.
plan was to be very nice to you and be very slow and take off and then go off like a bat out of hell and make you lose your ever loving mind and
I would be
and then have you on
puking the
videotape.
entire time. Telly.
Oh man.
Well, thank you for your service. First off,
Yes, thank you
that's
very much.
incredible, absolutely incredible. I love
Oh, yeah, no problem.
having all the people that served on. Ryan, your brother is in the armed forces or was in the armed forces. Is that correct?
Yes, he is a major in the Army.
Yeah. Does he fly helicopters?
He does not fly helicopters. No,
Okay,
he's on desk
I'm
duty.
just asking. On desk
Yeah,
duty.
once you reach over captain, you're desk duty. Desk duty.
All right, let's talk about your yard. You move into your house. When did you decide you were going from 0 to 100?
Ha, that's a good way to put it. Me and my wife, we spent 10 years in a small, raggedy trailer saving up money for our dream home. And so we were like, we're not going to go small. We're going to go big. I'm a big guy. We're going big or we're going nothing at all. So we got a home that's fairly large and we got a large lot, not as big as who's your guest last week? What is his name? It just popped out of my mind.
Where?
John
Hello?
Ware.
John Ware.
Where?
John Ware?
Yes,
John
not
Ware.
as big as
Yeah.
Where. Not 3,000, not 3 acres. Mine is an acre, 1.8 acres. So we got 1.8 acres. I was smart enough to have irrigation installed around the house, which is 22,000 square feet just around the house. And then I didn't know nothing else about lawns. I didn't know if I wanted to go cool season, warm season. I didn't even know what cool season and warm season was. But I just knew that I wanted, just like everybody else, I wanted a golf course lawn. Just like everybody else.
Man.
Yeah.
It hurts me to
yeah.
hear that, Ray. Hurts me.
I know
And,
it does because
And I made mistakes. So I told the builder just to put down some crap. I don't care what it is because I'm gonna kill it anyway. And that's what he did. He put down some crap, and then I killed it with glyphosate. And then I had it not tilled, but I had it leveled. Yeah, no, that's not quite that's after seeding. That's problems. But it's
Wow.
the
No,
it's the
you
brown
have
one,
this.
JP.
You have this labeled as you're killing weeds and big weed problem during your reno, and then
Yikes.
this
Yeah.
is
There you go. I know
Oh
it's a
my
little
God.
blurry right there, but that's everything dead. And then I had
That's everything dead.
there you go. That's everything dead. But what I didn't do, I killed it dead, but then I didn't water it after that. And then I had some topsoil brought in, and I didn't water that either.
Okay.
And then I
Yeah.
this area right here is the only area that I didn't bring in topsoil. So it looks a little bit better. Now I go back to the picture that has all the weeds. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. So that is Yukon seeded about 3 weeks after seed. Yeah.
Ooh.
No, maybe a month. Maybe a month after seeding. And can you see any Yukon on that? Yeah, maybe a little
Not
bit.
a lot.
Maybe
There's
a
a close up,
hair or
JP,
two?
if you have one.
yeah, there's like little green shoots
There you go.
underneath
There
it
you go.
all,
There you go.
and
There's
Okay.
a bitch.
Okay.
It's just like the
Yeah.
salt man.
And-
He sprinkled a little bit of Bermuda in there, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so that's
That's
what I
hard.
was dealing with. That's what I was dealing with. So I had, and to this day, I still have
Oof.
goosegrass hail. It's all goosegrass. And I made some mistakes in the stuff that I applied on it. I don't really want to consider and talk about. But it being young and naive and listening to, and that's the bad thing about Facebook, someone who really wants to learn something and really knows the proper way to do things, just stay off of Facebook because they're going to tell you the wrong advice. So people told me to put on a chemical that is banned and that you shouldn't put on your lawn, but I did because I was naive and didn't know it. It wasn't very effective the first go round or the second go round, but it kind of helped the third go round. So that's why I'm not going to even mention the chemicals now.
Don't, yeah.
Yeah. So and then if you go back to the JP to the picture that you had before with killing weeds, yeah. So that's after 3 rounds of treatment. It started looking a little bit better, but I eventually got over that. I eventually got over all that goosegrass. I was so paranoid about goosegrass, so entirely paranoid about goosegrass, I went on a Google frenzy trying to see what could kill goosegrass or prevent goosegrass. And then I ran across something called Ronstar. Ronstar is a pre-emergent, and I decided that I was going to use it. I didn't do like I was supposed to and read the label. There's a reason why it's not used for residential turf either. I happen to have a almost 300-gallon fish tank. In the fish tank, you don't want to draw air from from inside the house because it has a whole lot of carbon dioxide. It raises the pH. You want to draw it from outside the house. So the tank's on the second floor now, and I had a air line from my fish tank all the way out to the outside on the second floor. Airline, here's a pin. It's about the size of a pin, and it's constantly sucking. Yeah, I use Ronstar granules. And I put it in my front yard, watered it in, came back, and started cooking or cleaning or whatever I was going to be doing in the house. And my daughter's like, "Hey, Daddy, something wrong with your fish?" I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, they're all kind of on the top." Yeah. So for our listeners who don't know about Ronstar and why you have to be careful and read the label, Ronstar is, well, maybe Ray can tell me what Ronstar is to fish.
Ronstar is just poison to them. It's they don't like it because all that happened to Telly's fish is a little bit of fugitive dust from when he was spreading Ronstar G got sucked into his aquarium's air system, and the air system distributed that Ronstar into the water. And I'm sad to say the fish got the worst of it. I mean, I'm still mourning your fish, Telly.
Well, if it was just the fish, it would be okay. But apparently, it still is poisonous to my corals. I had coral reefs that I was growing for years, and Ronstar don't like that either. So it was $1,500 of just fish that died, not to mention the corals and everything, and then the rocks that I used, which were imported from Fiji, could not be used again because it was soaked into the rocks. So whenever I introduce another fish, it would be like, "Hey, I'm happy. Hey, I'm dead." So until I figured that out. So so for everybody listening, if you don't get anything out of this Turf Thursday, don't use it. Read the label. Don't do what I
just
did.
Don't.
Yeah, there we go.
Just don't do things on your yard that you shouldn't do. There's a reason for that, right? You mentioned Facebook, and I got to bring this up because you're in some Facebook groups that
correct
push some very questionable and downright illegal, right? Because it labels law, illegal practices. If you could talk some sense into those people, or just grab them by the shoulders and shake the shit out of them, what would you tell them?
Well, I already have something typed up in because it happens a lot in some of the Facebook posts, and it gets my blood pressure going. Um, and people advocate it all the time, the misuse of chemicals and the use of chemicals that aren't labeled for residential turf. And people always have the saying, "Oh, it's just that the chemical manufacturer didn't take the time to test it." That's what people on Facebook say all the time. No, they had a time to test it. They had a time to test it. They just, it's a reason why they do that. And I have it copied and pasted. I usually copy and paste it in Facebook. Copy and paste it every single time. And it just irks my soul, my ever living soul, when someone says, put chemicals that you shouldn't put in chemicals on, thank you, chemicals that you shouldn't put in your lawn on goosegrass. And they always do it with goosegrass. And they always use Ronstar. And it just really irks my soul. It gets my blood pressure going. And no matter how many times you tell them that, 4 or 5 posts below it, it's like, use it. I used it, use it. And the thing about it is that people don't really understand that people like me and people like who I was 3 years ago is the reason why a lot of these chemicals get banned. So what if I'm using Ronstar and my neighbor's a senator and his wife has freaking, my neighbor is, I'm sorry, I have someone looking at me right here. It's kind of distracting. What if my wife was the neighbor's wife was a senator? It's not. But what if the neighbor's wife was a senator and I killed all her fish? And there was an investigation.
No, then you're in big doo-doo.
Yeah, you're in big doo-doo, and a couple of things. One, the chemical companies are incentivized to sell as much product as they can, right? They want to register that product, generally speaking, for as many people as they can. However, there's some products that during that process, that registration process, that's going to take up to 10 years, right? Like new stuff that's coming out now was first in the ag market. Most likely, there's not that many turf-specific actives that we get these days, or turf-specific chemistries that we get these days. But to say that they just didn't test it on lawns, right, or they didn't want to, or whatever, is just a fallacy in and of itself, right? A lot of times what this turns out to be, right, is just like anything that's dangerous, right? You don't let certain people have it. So just like you wouldn't let your 5-year-old child have a firearm, probably, right? Until they've been trained and they understand it and they respect it and all that. Yeah, Tennessee, right? East Tennessee, right, Matt?
Yeah, I
Good
was
old
like,
Rocky Top.
5 years. My dad. Never mind. Go ahead.
I'm just saying in general terms. So no, but this is true though. This is general terms. There are exceptions. I'm not saying there's not exceptions. But my point here is that the federal government and even the chemical companies in a lot of cases have deemed those people, right, the homeowners, to be the 5-year-old children of this market because of the exact reason that you just said, Telly, because they know that there's a propensity of people to do stuff that they shouldn't do with it, and it's just not worth putting it in their hands, right? From a legal standpoint, it's not worth putting in their hands. So, what do? You try the best you can. You put the label on it. You say the label's the law. Matt and Ray and I have talked ad nauseum about how, pesticide inspectors, everybody like that, they're not going to do anything unless there's a complaint. Now, if you killed Mrs. Senator's fish next door, there's probably going to be a complaint. Something's going to get found out, and then you're going to be in deep doo-doo. And who knows? Those are probably isolated incidents, probably don't get a whole lot of publicity, things like that, but I'm sure it happens. I'm sure that there's off-target applications that come from homeowners, and we have big-time problems from it. So
I've done it, and it caused big-time problems.
You also burned a shed down too.
I did. Yeah.
There's, we can't trust you with the matches anymore. No more matches.
But my neighbor has 2.5 gallons of certain chemicals that, I wish I could just steal from his shed.
Maybe you should just burn the shed down, but let the fire department know what's in there.
Telly, tell me when you're ready. I'm real good at fire instructors. I'm just saying.
Okay. But Telly, here's what burns me up about that whole substance that I will not name. I'm familiar with it because remember now, I did lawn care all the way back in the 1990s when it was not a prohibited substance. And in order for that one herbicide to work against goosegrass, it has to be tank mixed with another herbicide. And the people that are not tank mixing it and just subjecting their turf to round after round of the product, they're just polluting the environment and not even killing the weeds. Whereas if they tank mixed it appropriately, burn in return, done.
Right. And now, fast forward 4 years later, I have
Mhm.
Revolver, I have Quicksilver, and I have
Mhm.
Celsius. I can mix all that stuff up and I'm good.
Yeah, and doesn't that actually work a lot better? Or to me, I don't miss it. I don't miss the old days because that current mix that you described, the Celsius, the Revolver, and the Quicksilver. I find that mix is a lot more selective and subtle in that half the time people don't even realize I sprayed until the weeds just suddenly look singed several
Yeah,
days later.
absolutely. Because that
I mean, it's very
Quicksilver,
selective.
it gets it. It gets it like in 2-3 days. It gives someone that satisfaction that everybody wants. Celsius takes a while, Revolver takes a minute, so it hits it with a good one, and then the other one comes back around and hits them with a left hook for the Celsius, and then the right hook again for the Revolver. It takes it out.
It's just how shall I say? It's just a Conor McGregor knockout. Then it's pretty much like a
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 down, and so I don't miss the old days because early on, I realized that in order to get the true burn in return, I had to tank mix it with another herbicide, and then I'd get the action. Then I'd get that goosegrass fried in one shot.
Right. And not to change the subject too much, but I know JP has one of these pictures. There's another thing that I need to tell people, and it's certain people of another color. You
Mhm.
absolutely need to worry about getting sunburn when you're out there. There's certain people like myself who don't think you need sunscreen. And it's
Mhm.
very important that you do so because I accidentally got sunburned for the first time in my life during my first initial seeding. That looks very, very good, don't it? I mean, I went and took a shower and I was like, why is everything burning? I've never had this sensation
What?
before. What is going
What?
on?
Mhm.
And yeah, so I was bright red. You see that? I was red. I was toasty. So it's very important that you protect your skin, people, no matter what nationality you are, you have to make sure that that is something that you do.
I thought you were going to start talking about the Teletubbies there for a second.
I thought this was gonna lead into your tattoo, but
we could talk about that. I gotta somehow kind of relate that to turf. I gotta see. I'm trying to think in my mind how that can relate to something.
Yeah, we'll
I thought
get
I'm
there.
just picturing. Never mind. I was thinking an appropriately placed that was going to say, touch my cyclic. Only Telly would get that joke. That's a helicopter joke.
I was way over my head. I was like that cyclic. I was having to spell it in my head. I was like, how do you spell that? Is there an I or a Y? Which one is in there? Is there an S in there?
Telly can explain later.
How did you choose Yukon? Why did you settle on Yukon? I'm curious.
I chose it. Number one, I could not because I spent a lot on my house, so I couldn't afford to get sod, and plus it was 22,000 square feet. So at the time it was, so I couldn't afford that, and I didn't know anything about sprigging at the time, so I had to do seed. So I did some research and seeding, and at the time Yukon was out, Riviera was out, and I think Monaco was out at the point in time. So I decided, I looked at some of the trials, and some of the trials said that Yukon actually had better cold tolerance. So that's what I picked. And it does. I mean, I see quick green up. I greened up this year in March, late March. That's my front yard right there. I greened up late March this year, and it has a couple issues with it because Yukon is not tolerant of quinclorac. I found that
Yes.
out when I was trying to kill the weeds in my yard. I put down some quinclorac because that's cheap. And I'm kind of like, I need economy of scale because my lawn is quickly progressing from 22,000 square feet. I think is 50,000 square feet, and it's all irrigated, and I keep progressing from there, and I have another 8.8 acres that I plan on irrigating and cutting real low as well. And when I say real low, I don't mean half an inch, because this year I maintained my lawn at 0.1. Yeah, 0.1. So, and at one time I had dropped below that, but that means I do a lot, and I do it all from a push mower. Before that, actually, before my push mower, I had a manual reel. There we go. I cut my lawn for a season with that manual reel, 22,000 square feet. And the reason why I do it is because this, cutting my lawn, I really enjoy it. I know Matt doesn't, but I really enjoy it. It's my therapy to cut my lawn, and it's also my exercise. So you see people walking around, they go all the way down. Matt runs every day. And what does he get out of it? Running. Nothing else is accomplished but running. But when I push a joker like that, hurt ankles, hurt knees, all that stuff. But when I push a joker like that over 22,000 square feet, not only have I exercised, but I've accomplished the task. So that's why I like to do that. That's why, even though I have 50,000 square feet right now, I still use a Toro 1600. I don't have a triplex. It takes me, y'all may not want to know, because, like I said, I'm one of these crazy people. It takes me 5 hours to cut my lawn.
I believe it.
I do it twice a day. Not twice a day, twice a week.
Damn, son.
A week.
I was going to
Twice
say,
a week.
like,
Twice a
whoa.
week. Twice a week. Twice a week. And that's just cutting it takes 5 hours. Not trimming, not blowing, cutting it 5 hours. That's why I am such a proponent of PGRs, plant growth regulators, because even though I love cutting my lawn and I'm a little obsessed with cutting my lawn, I can't be out there cutting it every day.
I love your sprayer.
Yeah, love it. It's just
it's fine. My spreader's fine. I have a little problem that happened with a spreader. You see, I want everybody to experience the lawn through me. All the problems, all the failures. Let me make the failures. Let me make all the problems. And then when I'm on these Facebook groups, don't give me all kinds of hell, because I've done it. So as a new guy with this Let's Go spreader, as soon as it came in the mail, it comes in, do I have it around here? It comes with yellow nozzles. It doesn't come with the red nozzles that it has there, that it currently has there. So just like a normal homeowner who is a little bit cocky, knows his shit right now, I don't need to calibrate. I read the instructions on the book, and the spreader made instructions said that a tank full with the yellow nozzles will cover 20,000 square feet. And hey, I got 20,000 square feet. So I filled it up with Dithiopure and proceeded to spray. Not on concrete, not just water. The first time I sprayed it. Yep, did that. After 4,000 square feet, my tank was empty. And I was like, help me, Matt. Help me. Help me. I don't know what's going on. Help me. And I have some pictures that I probably can forward, but my grass did recover. It actually.
What were the symptoms you saw, if any?
Yes, there were symptoms. It was very slow to green up. Very extremely slow to green up. Also, all I had for that next 6 months was just stolons on top of stolons on top of stolons on top of stolons. You could actually pick up the whole grass in a big section like this because nothing tacked down. And wherever it could tack down, it just made stolons and stolons on top of this. It was actually just nothing was actually touching the grass and rooting down at all. I had complete coverage, but like I said, you can literally pick up the grass like this. Believe it or not, I see people laughing, but believe it or not, a lot of kelp helped with that situation. Believe it or not, at least I think it did in my faith-based agronomy. You got to put three up for the
for all my homies.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so you got this Yukon figured out.
By the way,
now.
the next day, the red spray tips came. Yep.
I think you just need, you need to, if you were ever going to engage in the buy my shit movement, you should just sell the Telly Coleman starter pack of here's all the stuff to hack screwing up all the shit that I screwed up so that you don't screw that same shit up.
Well, this is I guess after that, was that when How To with Doc reached out to you to become a showcase property for his advertisements? Was that before or after that?
Oh my God. I have no affiliation with.
Tell me that you're a centerfold without being, telling me that you're a centerfold.
Tell you a centerfold.
Show me.
If you currently go into Google and type in Yukon Bermuda grass, one of the first lawns that you will see is my house, my lawn. I was contacted by a seed company who told me that they were interested. I think they saw my lawn on the lawn forum, and they were interested in showcasing my lawn to try to sell their seed.
Literally the first one.
It is literally the first one. It is all over it, actually, on this first page.
And those first two pictures you see is the first three pictures on the right. Those are all three of those are my lawn there. And and it just so happens that I think that one of that was maybe my second or third. That was my third year, I believe. Yeah, that's not me. But it just so happens, I think How To with Doc, I think he made a deal with the same seed company. And that's how he started advertising with my lawn.
Gotcha.
And I could be a mean person and say, hey, seed company, I don't want to, take down my lawn because I don't approve of that. But I mean, I just let it fly. Too much pressure. I mean, I have other stuff to worry about.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
No.
So yeah, that's an interesting. So Sean wanted me to bring that up. He's commented
Thanks,
like 3 times so far that
Sean already knew the answer. Sean's just being an ass. Thanks, Sean.
That's what he does.
All right. Can we take a look at your soil test for grins and giggles? I'm sorry, I got the hiccups.
Sure.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
March 2021. This is your front yard.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a before and after.
Yep. And the other one's from September. It was from 2 weeks ago.
Oh. So you are removing your clippings then?
Yeah.
No. What?
Mm-hmm.
No. Not at all. I do not remove my clippings, but I get sand capped all the time. This is after
Ah.
this is after
Dilution
3
is the
inches of
solution.
sand caps. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sand time.
Okay.
Sand time. All right.
Yeah,
And
because
actually,
I was
after
like,
that
everything went
I'm
down
sorry.
significantly, except for your
Mhm.
magnesium.
Well, actually, after that 7.3 pH soil, I started applying a lot of citric acid and also sulfur. I applied citric acid every week and watered in, and then sulfur twice a month, granular. I finally found some, and that's only been taking place for the last month since I found some granular sulfur.
Yeah. So and I think the biggest giveaway there is look at your cation exchange capacity from then to now. I mean, that is a perfect sign there that a significant amount of sand has been introduced into that growing medium.
You said you got 3 inches of sand?
That's
what you're at right now? Your caps?
Minimum.
Oh, so look at that. Oh man, you got a CR10 out there, and that's an old school Turfco CR10. Look at that bad boy.
Look at that tractor.
Yeah, big floater tires on that thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big flotation tires.
I might have to,
that's big time.
I might have to step away for a minute here, boys. Look at that. So
pinpoint accuracy from the operator.
Yeah, right on the edge of the sidewalk. Now, if that was Ray or Ryan Knorr or somebody like that, they would go with a shovel right along that edge of the sidewalk there and just dress that in real nice and neat, What did you do about the sidewalk edges? Did you?
Yes, I did. I was out there. I was doing the whole thing. And that is probably about 6 inches of a sand cap right there.
My goodness.
Yes. So, I don't do things half-ass. So I wanted a smooth lawn, and there you go.
Full ass top dressing, if I've ever seen one.
Well, yeah, it's called a whole ass top dressing because let me guess, Telly, since you did that, mowing got a lot easier for you because you're not fighting with the divots and the ditches. But
I'm telling you, I was like this.
Yeah, but did you get pushback from your other half? Because I hear the pushback too, where it's like, did you see what the lawn guy did? Our yard is now a beach. What the hell? Did you get that?
Yeah, I did, because every time the dog needed to be walked, it tracked in sand. I tracked in sand. My son tracked in sand. There was sand everywhere. And, I did my top dressing a little bit late. Just a taste. I did it on August the 20th, or it was, the very end of August. But, I don't recommend that to the average avid homeowner, because my turf brain synchronized the top dressing with PGR rebound and 2 pounds of nitrogen. I did 1 pound 3 days before and put 1 pound 3 days after on top and watered it in.
That's the Matt Martin spite method, by the way.
Yeah.
I will sign that check every day of the week. I 100% approve.
So right now I have very little sand that you can see at all. Maybe in the parts that had like 6+ inches, they still haven't quite grown in.
Dang,
they still haven't grown in, but yeah,
that's what next summer's for.
So right there, if you look at the very right corner there, you'll see some white. That is sand that was very, very deep.
Because you had a big hole to fill, right? You had big holes to fill where. So what I always tell people when sand capping is, this is not something that you do half-ass. Either you do or you don't do. There is no, quarter inch. It's do or do not do. There is no try.
Only thing I'll say here, actually, two things to say on this. Number one, on the sand cap, if you have cool season,
You
don't
can't
do this. Yeah, you got to
Don't
do this
do that.
very slowly, right? So, half inch at a time. The second thing on the soil test, the only thing I can't figure out, because I can't figure it out in general, apparently, is how come you didn't use that coupon code for my soil, that Turf Truth coupon code? I don't understand.
Well, that's because you're only seeing 2 soil tests right there, but
Oh,
I got
okay.
4.
I don't
But
understand.
I got 4 of those soil tests for the price of 1. So why would I use a coupon code when I got 4 for the price of 1?
I'm just saying there should be a coupon
It's
code
like
for that.
magic.
Turf Truth 2021.
You are going to flood my email inbox again with everybody asking me if I'm Turf Truth.
Let's get this out of the way.
Whenever it comes up, I get every video he puts out. I get a stream of text messages like, "Hey, are you Turf Truth?" I'm like, no, I am not Turf Truth. And then I get a barrage of emails. "Hey, I saw your new video out. It was such a the content you put out is blah blah blah." And I'm like, no, I am not. Like, get over it. That's not me. And let me take it even a step further. I 100% Turf Truth is as extreme as Ray, but in a different path, right? So Ray is very extreme in the way he does things, right? Not a lot of variation. He's got his methodology, he sticks to it. Not a lot of variation. Turf Truth is in that same vein, right? Where you stick to 100% peer-reviewed research, and if it strays from that, you don't even consider it. Like, it's gone, it's out. We're not going to think outside the box. We're going to walk straight and narrow down the path of peer-reviewed research. If anybody has ever heard me on YouTube or in real life or on Thirsty Thursday or whatever, knows that I definitely have some wiggle room outside of it. The difference is that I do believe in a foundation of good agronomic practices, but I also believe in certain situations you can think outside the box, get creative, and take advantage of the different tools that we have out there, whether they're peer reviewed or not, to elicit some different types of responses, or just use them in specific ways. Like, you're trying to delay dormancy, and the night before you frost, you go out and you spray calcium nitrate to prevent it from frosting over. Things like that. That's not a peer-reviewed tactic. It's trial by fire kind of sort of thing, right? So I am not that extreme to begin with, and I do not write that well. Those are all scripted videos. I'm not even close to being able to write that well. That is someone who is very well read. That is someone who's extremely educated, and that ain't me. I'll tell you right now, I'm
You're gooder in
PC
math.
trash. I'm Mississippi trash, really, to begin with. So that is not the kind of plane that I operate on, right? So I can't even stand on a damn ladder to change a light bulb, or a stool to change a light bulb. I'm such a weirdo, right? And yeah. So my point, that is not me. And that's just how it is. So please stop texting me and emailing the hell out of me, good or bad. Honestly, when the people are mad at me and email me about it, I don't mind then, because I love a good argument, because I'm a girl at heart. But when I get the emails of praise, I'm just like, listen, that's not me. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm not educated enough. I'm not well read enough. I don't write well enough to do that. That's not me. So
Yeah. And the funny thing is that, I'm not trying to get off topic here. I was just saying it as a joke, right? It's something that's going around, whatever. And I don't mean it towards anyone on this panel, because any of us are not Turf Truth. If we were, I be honest, like, I think we're pretty unabashed about what we think works and what we think doesn't. right? I don't think we would need to make a cartoon, nor do I think that any of us have the time, wherewithal, or headspace to do that on a consistent basis. So, I think everybody is just flipping out, right? They feel personally threatened. I'm sure at some point, these people or this person or whatever they are, right, is probably going to get into something that we do and say how we're morons, right? And you know what? That's fine. Ray, I know your feelings on academics, right? And how do I pussyfoot around this a little bit? Yeah, just how much you feel for them. Feel for them is a good way, right?
I just got a text that
you must be Turf Truth. Yeah. The biggest thing here, and while we're on the subject, I just want to say this because I know that things are heating up with this whole thing. Is this that I wish that person or those group of people, they would address the disease and not the symptoms, right? Like a lot of the stuff that's coming out, is showing people how to spot what's wrong, right? With the marketing claim or whatever. That's fine. I'm not saying that this person or these people need to show the right answer or how to do things or anything like that. You see a lot of people that are clamoring for them to show your lawn or do this or do that and show us the way of how you would do it. And I don't really think that that's this individual's point or this group of people's point. I think it's more of just pointing out flaws for the sake of people being able to recognize and point out flaws. But, the problem is, Ray, you might not want to hear this, but I believe in turf research. I do believe that there is a point to it. There's a need for it, and it's gone way downhill in the last 20 years, right? To
Actually,
the point that a lot of what gets done now, though, Ray, is efficacy studies and trials and paid stuff, right? That's not ever published, right? It's only a little tiny misrepresented graph in a trade magazine or some web copy or something like that. And so, there's a lot to answer for as far as the academics go, as far as I'm concerned, before we're starting to point fingers at people that are making claims. They need to look a little bit more inward and
they need to look at it. However, at the same time, I don't necessarily fault them because I do realize that ever since the USDA stepped back from vetting products after the 1980s, things basically went to hell in a handbasket. I mean, that is why we have people hawking stuff like fertilizer on charcoal granules and kelp mixed with humic and a little bit of iron citrate as the greatest thing that could ever happen to lawn maintenance. It's not necessarily, the researcher's fault because unfortunately, research has become very much privatized and sold to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I think so. Here's the bigger issue, right? And we talked a little bit about what Telly goes through in these Facebook groups and reading, quote unquote advice that comes down.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be dished out, and Matt knows one of the best extension people to ever walk this planet, Dr. Tom Samples, right? You could take his class 6 times, and what's your name again?
Hey, son, it's good to see you there. Well, yeah, it's real good to see you. Dr. Samples, you remember that time in class? Oh, yeah. What were you in my class? That's good. That's good. I'm glad you were there.
But Telly deals with this stuff all the time, and I look at it on the pro side and see, the same stuff where University Extension has allowed this vacuum to be created because there's not nearly enough of them, right? It's not supported from a university perspective, but there used to be way more people out there from a university perspective, right? Educating people on what was right and what was wrong, right? And trying to give them good recommendations that were sound, research-based, evidence-based, all that kind of stuff. And it simply doesn't happen anymore because we have reduced, those positions, reductions in forces, and they really haven't adapted, right? We're still putting out, and Like NCSU Turf Files, great reference, great resource. But man, the tubes gets people in, like it draws people in. So you got to give it to these guys that are putting out information. They have adapted to the times and they have filled a vacuum right in this space to do it. The last two things I'll say on this, because I just feel like I got to get this out because people are complaining to me too in different channels and different ways. Some of them do think you're turf truth too, Matt, by the way. I have to shut them down. But
yes, they do.
You do. It's stupid. It really is. Is that we're not going to answer just what Matt said. You know, being a purist and everything in turf is kind of a very much a fool's errand, right? There are so many questions that are unanswered right now that can't be proven, right? Because we don't have either the means, right, in terms of money and funding and independent funding to carry out the research that we need to answer all these questions, and or we don't have the methods, right? We just simply don't have the tech, the time, whatever the case might be, to be able to do it in a short enough format of 2 or 3 years, like a normal research cycle. So there's a lot of things there that are just messed up in general that we're not going to have the answers to. Last thing is this, Turf Truth, if you're listening, I have just one question for you. If you could name your top 3 research priorities for turf in the next 10, 15 years, funding aside, I just want to hear those. I'd be really, I don't say that with malice or being pissed off or anything like that. I really want to know, right? We're seeing a lot of dubious product claims. We're seeing a lot of people, try to fix problems that don't exist and create those problems and a product to solve it, all that kind of stuff. I would like to hear from somebody who's clearly a well-read, well-reasoned turfgrass scientist what they think the priority should be, and let's figure out how we can get there. All right, back to Telly.
Well,
Go ahead.
My opinion about Turf Truth.
I'd love to hear this, seriously.
As a homeowner and I consume a lot of content in YouTube and stuff like that. Who he is or who he's not is irrelevant to me, because you will never live up to the person that people want you to be, and you will always succeed when you're the person that you want to be. So it doesn't matter. I want to be the best person I can be. Ray is the best person he is. Matt, DeMay, you're the best person you are. So it's irrelevant to me. It's kind of like, people arguing over spilled milk. It's already said, it's already done. Who cares who it is as long as the information is good and accurate? In my opinion, Ray has given me more advice than Turf Truth will ever, because Ray is accessible to me. I can easily contact him. I can easily, feed off of him. All this information that I was telling you about goosegrass, did I learn that on my own? No. He told me. That's what happened. So forget about Turf Truth. Not unless he's Turf Truth, but forget about Turf Truth.
No, Telly, we got to tell you, there's a bunch of people here that love you, right? And this is your intervention for being Turf Truth. We all know it. We're here to help you. Will you accept treatment? Will you accept treatment tonight? Will you get on the plane tonight? All right, go on.
I'm still in denial as far as that's concerned. But I tell you what, Ray is something else. Let me tell you a story about Ray. So when I first got on the seed of the website with the seed and stuff, I had a big ass head. I was like, yeah, I'm on the website and all this stuff. I showed a picture in the Discord of my grass. And maybe Ray don't even remember this, but the victim always remembers. So I showed a picture of my grass, and like 5 or 6 people were like, "Good job, thumbs up. Oh, that's fire. Hey. Ray's ass. He must have zoomed into it and looked at it. He was like, Telly, you need to sharpen your blades. Look at that craziness that you are showing right here. He was like, if I dared to cut someone's lawn like that, I would be fired on the spot. And I was like, well, damn. I thought I was doing something. But he can tell me, he can talk to me like that, because what did that do? That encouraged me to sharpen my lawn blades more than once a month. And so now I'm sharpening my blades, believe it or not, every time I mow, because it's an acre. So, that's the help that you need, and that's personalized to you. And that's why I'm so grateful to the Lawn Forum and the Lawn Forum Discord and this channel and all these other channels who are personalized lawn care to the person who is needing it. and not just some random study. I needed advice from Ray. I needed humbling from Ray, and he gave it to me. So you probably don't even remember
Well,
it.
no, I do quite clearly
Oh, okay.
because
Ray remembers everything, Telly.
no, I remember the frayed tips and the pinched grass tips, and I said, "Oh my gosh! I mean, this just doesn't look good because."
But the shrunk
Yeah.
down overall picture looked good. I didn't tell you
Yeah.
to zoom.
but
Look, hey,
but here's the
when you
thing,
fly the
Telly.
drone and it looks good, that's all that matters. You got to get the
There you go.
drone shot.
But then the fact of the matter is that I
I
live
have a
and
drone shot too.
die not by the faraway drone shots or what I call the 30-mile-per-hour shots, where it looks good when somebody's blasting past, in their car 30 miles per hour. I live and die by people sitting down on their porch, looking at their grass, and they look at it today, they look at it tomorrow, they look at it at the day after, and it's right in front of their face. I live and die by that.
So
this
is on a much more dumbed down version of that. But when I got into spraying lawns, I learned quickly that the fastest way to be called back out to a property is to leave weeds from the path of the front door to the car or to the mailbox. That triangle right there, and within eyes view of that triangle, has got to be pristine. You do not leave a weed. You do not miss a weed. You make sure that field of view is taken care of at all times, because that is the fastest way to get called back out, right? And
Yep.
Ray, to your point, it's probably a bit more extreme than what I'm referencing there, because I'm talking about 50 feet one way, and chances are you got a driveway and you may not even see the other side of your driveway ever. So, but I get it. I get it to an extent.
And I have several people asking me what I apply to my lawn as far as PGR. What I apply to my lawn as far as PGR is probably not what people need to apply. I go a little crazy and use products that require precise delivery otherwise you will get death to your lawn, or you'll get definitely won't have to mow for a month or two. So I use T-Nex, of course, and then I use Paclo, and I use Agape, which is a new, right? I believe. And so I use both three of those this year. I only use Paclo and T-Nex up until this year. And my rates were pretty high. 13 ounces an acre of both. And but with precision application, you can't even turn around. You have to turn it off, turn around, and go back in your same spot. Otherwise, you're bronzing like crazy. But there's several reasons why I do that. The reason why I do that is because I have common Bermuda in my Yukon Bermuda. And I found that specifically with Yukon will definitely, I can't speak for other varieties, but Yukon Bermuda grass will definitely outcompete common Bermuda very easily if you put a little bit of Paclo on all of it. So Yukon is not as affected by Paclo, and the regular common stuff is affected more by Paclo. And if J-Pink, there's a picture that's labeled Yukon versus common and water, I believe. There you go. So if you look down, this is a renovation. This was last year. So if you look at the water, which is a problem that I have, is why I sent a picture. I do have some standing water in that area of my lawn. But if you look low, you'll see common Bermuda. You'll see something a little bit darker. And that's all the Yukon Bermuda invading that area. Maybe about a month ago, it was half that size. but I push it with a lot of fertilizer, and I pack load the hell out of it. Do not try this if you have sodded Bermuda. I can't recommend that. I don't know how it works, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out, but it definitely helps when you have Yukon.
Okay.
I have gone away from Yukon. I'm sorry, from Packlow now in my main area, because it does jack up your lawn. It does cause damage. There's no way around it. And I found that when I started using Apogee, that the lawn completely looked different. I took out the Packlow and replaced it with a new, and the lawn looks better because it's not having as much damage. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Telly, that is like a good warning, because here's my experience with that class of PGRs. I'm speaking to paclobutrazol on your shortcut hybrid sodded Bermudas. I think I clued you into that specific warning about do not apply to Bermuda greens. And the reason why they say don't do that on Bermuda greens is because you will overregulate your shortcut hybrid Bermudas to the point where you might not have the grass anymore. It might be all too much. Conversely, in your case, what's too much for that wild common coarse Bermuda was exactly that. Packlow and you setting your greens mower as far down as that sucker will go. Congratulations, good job.
Right. So it doesn't take any time. I should have took another current picture. Well, I was kind of picture limited, JP, but I had another picture that showed what it looked like now, and scam alert. And it is completely covered with Yukon Bermuda grass. Yeah, it looks like that, but on the other side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was going to see if I could find a picture of what Packlow did to Common. And this was at a low rate. I can't remember exactly what rate I sprayed. It may have been like 10 ounces with PGR, with trim pack on top of it. And I mean, it turned everything. It was gray. There was a bit of green hanging on in it, and but it was without a doubt. It just had a hue of gray. It was like somebody turned the saturation way down on the photo in Photoshop or something. It just had
Right, that's
Matt,
how it looks on mine.
color to it.
I did it. Matt, I did it. Except not to Bermuda, but I now know what Zoysia looks like on 44 ounces per acre of Cutlass, plus 8 ounces per acre of Tenix. And
turn it gray?
16 ounces per acre of it turned it yellow and gray, and that some bitch didn't grow for like the next 45 days.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, is I probably got a bucket of clippings over a month and a half period. I mean, it just did not grow at all. It was dead, done.
Yeah, that is the true STFU application.
Now, the weird thing was that as it was starting to want to look normal again, I applied a fairly high rate of zinc to it, and that did turn things green for whatever reason. It really brought it back to normal.
I can explain that, Matt.
Why?
The reason why it turned it green is because that high rate of zinc probably forced gibberellin production in the grass. Okay, because zinc is one of the key elements for encouraging gibberellin synthesis in plants in general. So Because one of the symptoms of zinc deficiency in crops, for example, is the leaves and the new shoots on the plant all come out green, but they're dwarfed and stunted. I mean, they look like they got PGR'd. The plant got something like too much Paclo or something. So if you can force the gibberellin synthesis in the right direction, that's a way. And oh, by the way, part of me getting out of too much cutlass was an ounce per 1,000 of zinc sulfate and some citric acid to get the grass to come out of it.
And it's interesting that zinc also works particularly well on HPPD inhibitors like Pilex and what is the other one? Tenacity, mesotrione.
Tenacity,
right?
mesotrione, yeah, mesotrione, yes. There's
Yeah,
actually, I've been reading papers, Matt, about how if you need to mitigate discoloration from Pilex or Tenacity, especially on something like Bermuda turf, tank mix it with foliar zinc and manganese. That's like a couple of papers that I've been reading, and that's of importance to me because, by the way, Telly, if the revolver and Quicksilver didn't work on your goosegrass, I would next have you applying Pilex to your Bermuda. And I'm glad we didn't have to go there.
No,
What
because
rate?
it's pretty good now.
So this is fully regulated with Paclo and T-Nex here.
Mhm.
And you can see it just
Yeah, it doesn't look happy.
no, it was hurt.
Yeah.
And then coming up, that's after the zinc application. It
What
just-
month was this?
Oh, it's probably a month apart. Let me see if I can tell by
Oh,
the
okay.
dates.
I'm just curious when
but-
this was.
Yeah. This was
Go ahead.
This was last summer. I think I did this. Yeah, I think it was last.
So like
summer.
peak growing season. I mean, this was.
Oh
it
yeah,
should
yeah,
be.
yeah. So when it was completely zapped like that, that was June the 6th, and then when it was fully recovered, that was June 26th. And I think I made
Nice.
that application somewhere around 5. Let me go through the dates here. 5/27 is when I made that application. So, yeah, boy, it did not enjoy that.
Oops.
So if anybody is word of the warning there, do not put Paclo on Bermuda without
Just in general.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
100%. Yeah, just leave Paclo alone altogether.
Just in
How about
general. Yeah. You got so many other great options, right, Ray? Why, you don't need to go for the hard stuff. Just use the gateway PGRs,
Yeah, because here's what I do if I don't want to discolor or damage, and it is feasible for me to make frequent repeated applications. I then leave out the cutlass, I leave out the Paclo, and I just stick to low rates of trinexapac and perhexadione, which would be either your apogee or your anew, with some podium or primo max, and that is a non-damaging application. And by the way, that tank mix is specifically allowed and recommended even on your ultra dwarf Bermuda grass greens. You can do it. And in fact, I've heard of many golf courses going there because, Ryan, anew plus trinexapac is one way to mitigate variations in growth and color caused by the hybrid Bermuda reverting back to its pre-mutated form.
Yeah, mutations and segregation.
That's one way to handle it, is you go out with weekly 2 ounce and 2 ounce applications of both, anew plus T-Nex. A little bit every week, and your color and your growth and your green quality, is vastly improved.
Do you ever
And you
see?
talk
And
about.
this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask real quick on from Ray's perspective, or even Matt, because I've never seen it on Bermuda grass, and granted, I've not seen nearly any of the amount of Bermuda grass you've seen, but do you see a toilation, right? So the leaves, when they're under heavy regulation, actually kind of shooting straight up and kind of going in different directions and getting a little weird. That's a really layperson way to explain it, but. Let me see if I can find you some good photos in cool season. I'll share them here in a second. Go ahead, Telly. You continue here while I find these photos.
Well, while he's trying to find those pictures, I have something interesting with T-Nex. A lot of times people always ask questions or have a controversy about T-Nex versus Primo. Which one's the best one? So I had someone from the Discord, Crispy Cruiser, sent me Primo. And I did a test this year. I had 3,000 square feet that I sectioned off. The first one was a control. The second one was Primo only. Second 1,000 square feet was Primo only. And the last one was T-Nex. And I weighed and measured for 3 applications. I found no difference in between Primo and T-Nex. In the applications and the amount of weighted clippings in those 3 applications. So I was just doing a little test myself because that was a hot subject, believe it or not, on a lot of the YouTube, influencers at the time and a lot of the Facebook groups and stuff. So if anybody else, I have plenty of land. If anybody else would like to do any kind of test, I'll be happy to do that. I got plenty of time, mowing my lawn.
Okay, you know what, Telly? Here's the thing. I would gladly apply the off-patent T-Nex versus the patented, Primo Max if my, business depended on it, because I see no difference. I mean, with T-Nex, shut down is shut down. I mean, it'll do it. So I don't see the difference. And by the way, a long time ago, I had the pleasure in the 1990s of buying a bottle of actual Primo. And guess how much that stuff costed back then?
How much?
I paid $250 a quart.
Oh.
And
What?
$250 a quart. And that was my price as a commercial applicator from the company that is now Nutrien. So I know they weren't scalping me because I'm a consumer. No, that was the pro price for a quart.
There's a good photo there. Oh, who's this from? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let me send this to you. This is from. Let's go there.
Ooh, look at this. This is interesting.
So you get this like real spindly growth, right? When you don't either you're over, you can be over regulating, right? And you get this different physiology in the plant, the way that it grows. Here, I'm going to send you another one. This is also a present from Dr. Bill Kreuzer, a fan favorite of both Matt and myself. I don't know where Ray stands on Kreuzer. I don't know. I think he's a fanboy. I think.
No, I love Dr. Bill Kreuzer. I mean, he tells it like it is.
There's where
and
yeah, he's good people. He's good turf people. So this is where they were trying to induce it. They were trying to go higher rates, and those lighter patches that you see are all attenuated, like real spindly, real thin. Some people call it white leaf, right? Where you get these real weak leggy plants that start growing up right from the tillers on the bent grass. Now, I don't know, like I said, if you've ever seen that before on Bermuda, I'm going to have to ask some people because I'd love to know what it would take
actually,
to do this.
Yes.
Ryan, that's what I started seeing when I overdid the cutlass on the Zoysia. Okay, I overdid it, and here's how I overdid it. I applied the 44 ounce per acre, and while it was still under regulation about 2 or 3 weeks later, I added another 30 ounce per acre.
Man.
One,
And that was before-
100%, sir. Let me see if I can get a picture.
That
Ray?
was just too much.
What do you think? I don't even know if it was ever labeled for it. I'm gonna have to go look for it here. But Telly, you would have liked this because you're a full force kind of guy, right? Ray, Mafluidide. How about it?
Embark.
Embark.
Okay. Okay. Here's the thing about Embark.
We'll show some Embark photos. I'll find those.
Was actually the premier PGR for controlling seed head formation on Poa annua. It was a lousy PGR for repeated use to desirable turf because the fluidide or Embark would always cause yellowing and thinning. Like I tried it one time on Bermuda and I won't do it again because the Tiff Green really was not happy with me after I applied it. I mean, the Tiff Green was mad. So I'm not doing it. However, Embark is actually a good choice when you need to inhibit seed head formation in turf grass because it is not a gibberellin inhibitor. Instead, what Embark is it is literally a cellular toxin. And by the way, you can get a similar effect from low rate glyphosate, imazapyr, or sulfometron, or even imazapic.
Yeah. Right. So it's a mitotic inhibitor, right? So mitosis is the division of cells. It literally stops.
Yes.
Literally stops, right? So Matt, to your point about, not having any grass in your buckets, you could go out and spray greens. So this is a toilated Bermuda grass?
Yeah, it's hard to see because I zoomed in on that picture pretty significantly to try and pick it up. But there are just tufts where you see it, and that was purely
I can see it now.
From paclobutrazol. And I'll tell you that following up and not having applied it, you do not see that those bizarre tufts that tend to just kind of come out and do their thing. And this is common, so probably way more sensitive than other Bermuda types may be. But yeah, you see it.
Telly, this is like one of those pictures from when you were mowing lawns for $3.50, right? You got to look at it, but unfocus your eyes. It's one of those type of pictures.
You got to cross.
I think my eyes would get crossed if I do that.
Yeah. All right, J Pink, real quick, let's look at those two photos I sent you real quick. That's from all that time of looking down when you go in the bathroom, Telly. That's that problem. I can't help that. But so you got this, Ray, is classic Embark with fluidide color on greens, right? So they applied to greens. They didn't apply anywhere else. But look how shiny that is. That should not be that color if it was treated or untreated. So to your point about seed heads,
I saw
roll to that next picture. Let Ray talk. There you go. Go ahead, Ray.
I saw that in that it did a bang up job of shutting down the POA seeded production, but my God, what a brutal thing to do to the turf grass because again, applying Embark is almost like microdosing glyphosate or microdosing a sulfonylurea or imidazolene herbicide on the bent. I mean, it's kind of a brutal thing.
microdosing LSD, and I was like, yeah, that's not recommended.
Yeah, Telly's going to go out there with the spreader mate and put some sugar cubes in there, and we're all going to be happy for the lawn, right? Just make sure you find a nice, safe space in the lawn to lay down for about 6 hours, Telly. After you make that up, the fish will be real happy that you did, right? You might feel like you're a fish swimming upside down if you did that. Real quick here, Ray. So you're right. Untreated versus treated. This is a golf course up in Southeast Michigan. Very nice club. This is compliments. I always like to give credit. Jesse Shaver is the superintendent there. I just pulled this off his Twitter, but nice to look at here in terms of what you see with Seedhead. Now this stuff is no longer made either, Ray. This was like like Nemacure, right? When the boys found out this was going off the market, there was some hardcore stocking up, right?
So actually, I'll tell you what I used to use Embark for.
Oh boy, I knew you used it for something.
No, Embark was my weapon for
to kill
bougainvillea. No, bougainvillea and hibiscus, because nefludide is also used for regulating the growth of common woody shrubs. And for that, it did some good because, for example, I've known people that off-label used something called psychocell to regulate hibiscus, and or else Paclo to regulate hibiscus, and they were using the nursery and greenhouse labeled product.
Oh, boy.
My God, did the Department of Agriculture hang them by their balls?
Yeah. Yeah. And you see that too. You see that too, though, in turf. And this is go back to the Facebook thing. I hate to keep ragging on the Facebook fam. What is what's Matt's favorite word for it? Spacebook, crackbook, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
But I see people comment, well, you can get the ag version of that cheaper. Just go ahead and like I don't even know. I'm trying to think of one. Help me out here, Matt. What is mesotrione in crops? Huh?
I was thinking I think Outriders one is certainty in turf, and Outriders.
What is mesotrione
for Heathfield?
Yeah, mesotrione
actually
in ag.
I don't know what mesotrione.
Callisto. It's However, wait a minute. Don't get too happy because Callisto is agency priced, and there's no real price break between Callisto and Tenacity. Syngenta made it so that the price is almost equal, so that's not a good example. However, a real good example of that is Abound versus
Zoxy.
Heritage L.
Zoxy.
Yeah. Because Abound is labeled for ag crops, Heritage is golf, turf, and ornamentals. So
we're not here to give people ideas. We're saying you should not do this. This is against the law, right? And if the Hawaii Department of Ag can find you, the people in your state can find you too.
Yeah, well, actually, the deal is that this landscape company was using it on the hibiscus shrubs to make them flower more and keep them from needing trimming so much. But you don't do that with Psychocell or greenhouse labeled Paclo. No. I mean, if they wanted to do that, they should have used the Paclo product labeled for regulating ornamental and street trees. Then they would be within label because it's, landscape woody plants. But no, you don't do greenhouse label Paclo because you're totally off label.
So is products like what is it called? Esplanade 200 SC, Yeah, the pre-emergent, it has indisoflan, like 19%
Yeah,
or something like
something.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I mean, I don't know if that's off label, but it's a lot cheaper than getting just the,
Spectacle.
Spectacle. Yeah.
yeah. I
But
mean, I don't.
here here's
With
the
me,
deal.
I have
It
economy of
is that.
scale.
Yeah.
I have. I mean,
In
you know, uh,
Esplanade. What is the Esplanade labeled for? I honestly don't
VM.
well, they have.
VM. It's for VM,
Vegetation management.
and so the thing is that I think with the VM version there may be just a little bit of wiggle room. However, commercially, if I were to apply Esplanade to lawns and sports turf, I'd be in a bit of trouble. Conversely, believe it or not, I'm okay to apply spectacle flow to various non-crop areas, especially if those non-crop areas are related to areas outside of residences or commercial buildings. Go
So
figure.
I just need to put a soccer goal out in my yard, and then I'm good.
No, actually,
Yeah. Paint some lines,
no,
maybe.
no. You know what you need?
Post,
You know what you
the
need?
neighborhood.
You need you need either railroad tracks or a power line going through your yard, and then you'd be legal for Esplanade.
I
Because
have
Esplanade is
I have a gas line going through my yard.
okay. Because Esplanade is specifically labeled for grassy and annual broadleaf weed control on utility right of ways and railroad tracks. That's
So you need railroad tracks. They didn't say that they
Mhm.
could, it was a model train that you had going through your yard. So you need to put, you need to be one of those guys. You need to be the guy that has the model railroad and wears the full engineer regalia. Like you got the hat, the overalls, like all that stuff. Telly, I want to see it. I want to see you really commit to this railroad thing so you can spray this Esplanade in your yard. I really need
What
it.
makes you think I don't already have that? That's for the after show. So you need to become a member. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to become a member of the.
Shameful plug.
Become a member of the Grass Factor, and not only can you see this show and you can see me semi calm, but you can see me in the after show. In the after show, I will not hold back. So I've been holding back. I've been holding my tongue. I told JP.
I'm legitimately scared now. I am.
I told JP.
Hear that, boys? He
I
did
was
not
gonna
accept
talk
treatment. He's
like,
going to lash out now. He's going to lash.
right.
There's going to be a relapse tonight. He's going to relapse.
So it just costs the price of an airport beer, and you too
Mhm.
can enjoy Telly Coleman in his buck williness and train
that
track
before.
hats.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Maybe I sent the wrong picture to you.
Before we dip out, do you have any questions for us that we could answer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have a couple
Good.
questions. First of all, the spreader mate. I mean, it's okay, but I need to upgrade, and I'm tired of walking that joker. So I'm thinking about a spiker. I think that'll be pretty good.
I know what Matt's gonna say, and honestly, I'd say the same thing in this case.
I'm just
it.
joking. I'm just joking. I'm not trying to get a spiker. I want to get a something that Matt owns. Is that
Sell them on Matt?
that?
Let's hear. All right, Matt, you're on the showroom floor.
Yeah. Okay. So there's going to be a couple things. You're going to have to understand you've got reduced volume output. You can modify it to get up to the kind of volume that you may or may not want. I can tell you this.
Then I have to refill more.
I have sprayed some absolute things you should never spray at low volume, and I have never had a problem with it. The only time it may get weird is if you're using something that's really, really hot. That requires a lot of carrier volume, like an insane rate of sulfentrazone in a single-use application or something. That may get you into trouble, but if you're not doing that and you're applying pretty much common run-of-the-mill things, then you're never going to have an issue with it. You'll never know the difference between the two. If you were on you're trying to grow bent grass out there on a sand cap, maybe then you may run into a situation. But growing an improved common Bermuda like this, even though you are at a pretty extreme height of cut, I don't think you'll notice a difference. You've got irrigation that you can control. If anything breaks on it, you can repair it in the parking lot of Walmart or AutoZone. It supports big guys like us. If your shoulders hurt when you ride it, that means you're a girl and you probably don't deserve it. So that it's a no-brainer. It can handle the hills. If it rains prior to your application, you don't have to worry about leaving big ass ruts in the yard. It's so easy to work on. You can literally modify it to do whatever it is you want it to do, right? So I think in a highlighted realm, that pretty much covers all our bases.
Permagreen it is. Then my final question is about spring dead spot, pink snow mold. That's my bane of my existence. So I accomplished something. The other picture is actually a little bit better, J Pink, but I accomplished some significant improvement. Yeah, some significant improvement last year. That was 2020, the spring of 2020. This year, I didn't have too much of an issue after I used Zemplar. I applied that in a combination with myclophenol. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah. I don't know. I have a picture of it, but I applied that 30 days at the beginning of October and the end of October. It did a little bit of good, but I don't know if that's the right thing. I know I'm using 2 forms of fungicide, 2 modes of action. Any advice? That's not going to kill me in the bank? Because I looked at Zemplar seems to be the cheapest when I'm applying an acre of it twice.
Ray, you want to talk to him about Kabuto?
Yes.
No, that costs too
much.
Hey, it's only money, Telly.
Kabuto is one of the other, heavy hitters for SDS, but I think if Exemplar works for you, I would stick with it, because Exemplar is part 1 of my medicine cabinet, where there's a little section. No. Okay. Exemplar is part of a fungicide that I keep in my, it's like in a little section of my truck called the shit hit the fan, because Exemplar is half of this fungicide called Lexicon. And so Exemplar is something that I speak very, very highly of, because I've also known Exemplar to pull people's bacon out of the fire when they have bad dollar spot. So I speak highly of Exemplar. And as far as the myclophenol goes, I consider myclophenol to be the non-damaging equivalent of propiconazole, because you can use myclophenol on shortcut Bermuda or shortcut Zoysia or even St. Augustine without having the extreme growth regulation effects. So I like myclophenol a lot. In fact, anytime somebody mentions propiconazole, I just think to myself, that's not something I use. Instead, if I'm treating for something that somebody would otherwise use propiconazole for, I rather break out the Eagle 20 EW instead. Especially on turf that's already had T-Nex, Cutlass, and a new applied to it. Do not add propiconazole on top of that in your programs if you're already regulating pretty heavy.
I've done that. I just got too many stories to tell, so I left that story out. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I think those are all the questions I have. Unless you let me think for a while, I have even more. But I do have a problem. Let me take that back. I do have a problem with standing water on occasions, but I think I've solved that. Yeah, right there. But I think I've solved that problem, however, with 40 tons of sand. So I don't have that problem anymore. Well,
I
after
would
next year, I don't
imagine.
have that problem anymore. Oh,
I would
Virginia
imagine.
buttonweed. I have that,
Oh,
and I can't get
oh,
rid of
yuck,
it.
yuck.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no.
horrible.
I'm gonna tell you to spray something that Ray, you're gonna need to put on earmuffs.
Go for it. Try me.
Either Battleship 3 or Momentum FX2 in as a spot spray. It is going to light your Bermuda's ass on fire, sir. So just keep that in mind. But as a spot spray, make sure it's well fed, is growing vigorously, and all that. That fluroxapyr combo there is very, very effective. Way more effective than metsulfuron methyl, in my opinion.
Actually, Matt, I won't say earmuffs for that because too bad I can't get it in Hawaii.
Oh Lord,
But
have mercy.
no, but I would love to get what they call Vista XRT because Vista XRT is the pure fluroxapyr ester. And you know what I'd be doing with that? I'd be formulating my own, custom three-way 2,4-D dicamba and just a drop of fluroxapyr. Not a lot, just a little.
Yeah,
And for that exact
But
reason.
I'm a homeowner. I can't do all that.
Yeah, and so Battleship 3 or Momentum FX2, either of those. I think Battleship 3 is slightly more cost effective than Momentum FX2. I know New Farm has a bunch of products with fluroxapyr in it too. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but
Sure Power? I know Sure Power's got it in there.
Sure Power does, but do not put that on Bermuda.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a warm season herbicide.
Yeah, I don't
Actually,
I don't think,
Sure Power might be too much for emerged or green Bermuda. And does Sure Power have triclopyr in it?
I don't.
Yes, it does.
I don't remember.
Yes, it
Does
does.
Oh God!
Triclopyr,
Okay.
fluroxapyr, and I can't.
And
remember the other
2,4-D.
one.
And then
This New Farm
flumioxazin.
Yeah, flumioxazin is the one I was thinking of.
Okay,
New Farm.
but
there's another one.
if you do that, that will make it so that your Bermuda goes to sleep and doesn't grow back. And if you put that in your Bermuda,
I said it's
when it
not.
is sleeping,
It's not a warm season herbicide.
yeah, it's not good because triclopyr and dormant Bermuda is a big no-no. In fact, the only time I tell people to put triclopyr on dormant Bermuda is when they're transitioning to another variety of Bermuda next spring and they're trying to kill what they got. Then I tell them, hammer your lawn with triclopyr in the winter. Then that way their old Bermuda is good night and not waking up again.
So New Farm's got Change Up, which I had forgot about, and then Escalade 2. Escalade 2.
Yeah, Escalade 2, Change Up. I forgot about Change Up.
I think
Change Up is labeled for warm season turf.
Yeah, I think Change Up can be used because doesn't warm season kind of sort of tolerate it as long as you watch your rates and application?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, I think you can use it on Centipede and St. Augustine as well. So, yeah, as long as you are rate conscious there, you should have no issues with it. And I think Change Up has really high efficacy on Virginia buttonweed. I'm looking at the label here. Yeah, they don't have any stars next to it, so you get good control out of that. So that's another one that I would definitely take into consideration there. I'm looking at Change Up. Yeah, you can get it in smaller quantities too, or you can get it in larger ones. So that may jive with what you're trying to do there.
Oh, and changeup is 2,4-D free. So if you've already used up your annual maximum on, say, three-way or speed zone, you can drop in an application of changeup for whatever else. And by the way, changeup has something that I don't normally see in herbicides marketed in America called MCPA, because MCPA is mostly a European thing.
Yeah.
That's that schnitzel right there.
That's Wiener Schnitzel, or yeah, right there. That's Wiener Schnitzel, because
If
the European
Robert
Union,
Palmer's still watching, I was gonna say if Robert Palmer's still watching, his ears just perked up.
yeah, because isn't Robert Palmer, the last time we talked to him, wasn't he going to be stationed in West Germany?
Yes,
I believe he's going to be stationed in West Germany, right near the land of Wiener Schnitzel and beer.
Actually, the first 12 years of my life was in Germany.
No kidding.
Real quick, we did get a suggestion for Telly's next sprayer.
Yes! Yes! Send it. Send
Is
it.
that a bell?
How many passes will I take off of that? What kind of nozzles? I use the yellow ones on that one too.
Actually, you know what you'd have
Use
to
all the
use, Telly?
nozzles.
You'd probably have to use the white
I
or
knew Ray was going to give you a very
Yeah, I
precise
did
answer.
too.
or else the light green ones, the light green T-jets, because here's why you see so much drift. Usually on a helicopter, they're running ceramic disc cores or else XR fans.
My only problem is the pilot, I'm not sure if that's too safe for him. I don't know what kind of rotor wash you have and what kind of air supply. I hope it's filtered in there. It doesn't look like a very expensive helicopter. It looks like something that someone put together in their garage. So I bet it doesn't have any. I bet it doesn't have any kind of any kind of level of filtration for the pilot. That's going to be another lawsuit right there going on right there. That's another glyphosate lawsuit right there. Yep.
We are coming up on 2 hours, so we're going to have to start wrapping this up. Let's check in on the mailbag real quick before we head on to the show after the show. You've got mail.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's my cue to read this on that.
Yeah.
All right. So we had someone email in. Smokin', I guess is his name. I don't know.
Not smoked.
Yeah. I'm in Iowa. Front is turf type tall fescue. Back is Kentucky blue. Does anyone believe in the effort behind dormant seeding? And if so, what's the best method? When should I throw the seed down? And should I fertilize at the same time or wait?
In my opinion, if you've got cash to burn and you're okay with a gigantic guess as far as how well it's going to work, then sure. If you would like to be more precise, don't do it. That's my opinion. But my experience is only in my southern area. So,
DeMay.
And for the people in DeMay. Well, I'm jumping in there.
Go ahead.
For the people who are in the forums and who are in the Facebook pages, please don't do that to warm season grasses. I see it all the time. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times this week alone. If you have money to burn, just don't. Just
stop overseeding your Bermuda with Bermuda.
And don't aerate in the fall to overseed. Please. Public service announcement.
That's like a mashup. That's like a mashup of I heard from this guy that I should aerate and oversee my lawn in the fall. But I'm in Alabama.
With Bermuda.
By the way, By the way, while I can here on the public stream, Sean Smith, don't roll Tide. Go Rebs. Matt, you didn't
War
hear that
Eagle.
earmuffs. Oh,
I'm on the lane train.
Oh.
It's all good.
yeah, we're Lane. He's still in good graces. Dormant seating. I agree with Matt. Like, it's definitely a value proposition of do you or don't you. The best results I've ever seen from it are when it is done later rather than earlier, right? So if you get that January thaw where you're able to go out there and get it down, or even later, like my ideal time here in Ohio, and Iowa wouldn't be too much different, is if you get those perfect ground conditions in February, right? Or even early March, I'd send it. You'll have pretty good results. The only thing in Iowa out there, if you do get kind of dry, once that stuff starts coming up, but it's still cold, even though it's cold, it's still dry. You're going to have to water it. So just be prepared. But as Matt said, I think, you stand a better chance of doing a spring seeding or doing a fall seeding at that point. I'd question what your need was to do a dormant seeding. So,
All right, moving right
yield my
along.
time.
We've got Josh who writes in and said, I sprayed max rate glyphosate with surfactant on turf type tall fescue 4 times in the last 2 weeks.
Ray,
Was there a question there?
Ray?
What's the
Yeah.
question?
The grass still looks like it's hanging on. Is it possible that I used an expired product? I'm in Maryland, zone 7, with daytime temps in the 70s, nights at 50s, and I've been actively irrigating and fertilizing.
Can we have Samuel L. Jackson read this grass, Ezekiel 25:17?
Oh, hell no.
That's
the
a
Bible verse,
Royale
isn't
with
it?
cheese. I don't know
when people
what.
say-
Wait, what? What are you thinking here, son? Like, that's my question, right?
Well, here I go. As a homeowner, I know oftentimes people read the label as far as glyphosate, and they severely underestimate the amount that's needed to actually kill your lawn. I tried personally myself as a homeowner and tried at the label rate, and then discovered that I probably had to go up a little bit higher than that. And I know the label's the law, and Turf Truth might get me, but
Here's the thing is that there is a broad spectrum of rates on the Roundup label. It just depends on which formulation of Roundup you have, right? So, like if you look at the label of Ranger Pro, I mean, you've got label Grace there to go all the way up to a 4% solution, if I recall correctly, which is some very, very extreme rates that most of us would never ever encounter. So max label rate to me is I have no idea what formulation you sprayed. Here's the thing. As you start to cool off a little bit, glyphosate's going to be a little bit slower. If you're a little bit dry, glyphosate's going to be a little bit slower. If you haven't fertilized it, glyphosate's going to be a little bit slower. 2 weeks and still seeing a little bit hanging on after a glyphosate application on tall fescue does not shock me at all. Like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm definitely not repeating an application within the first 2 weeks after that first application. Like, I would be making my second application at 2 weeks. I would not be making my fourth application at 2 weeks, because glyphosate in and of itself is not a super speedy herbicide like it can appear to be when you're spraying when you're spraying a dandelion when it's 95 degrees outside, right? Then it looks really quick and fast and all that fun stuff. But when you're spraying something as hardy as tall fescue is, when you've got nighttime temperatures of 55, it's a totally different ball game. It's slow. No, the herbicide's not expired. Glyphosate in and of itself is going to have a pretty much indefinite shelf life as long as it's not freezing. So yeah, I think you just got to, what is it? You need to smoke some patience.
All right, and then we've got one here from a leftover from the lawn care help desk last night that Matt said we should bring it up with DeMay, I guess.
Oh gosh, what I do now?
What
You
pre-emergent
should. Hey. All right, I'm going to tell you the answer before you even ask the question. You definitely should shave and use the shampoo to get rid of the scabies. That's my advice right there. Best thing you can do.
Might not be far off. What pre-emergent with centipede
I guess.
and some other warm season? What was the other grass? It was
yeah. This is for Ray. Ray.
Oh, sorry.
So this is
Still
Middle
shave.
Georgia. The centipede in St. Augustine does go dormant. At what rate of a fall application of spectacle would be safe?
Okay. I would be doing a 3 ounce and 3 ounce split of spectacle. You don't want to go high on St. Augustine or centipede unless your end goal is to smoke the lawn and transition to zoysia next year, because the only grass I know of that's highly tolerant of spectacle would be zoysia.
Okay, we were talking about doing a single 3 ounce rate application, but you think it would be safe to go up to 6?
6 total, but then as a 3 and 3, because 3 only is not really enough to hold back high weed pressure, because I'd be imagining that this fella is fighting things like POA emerging and winter broadleaf weeds coming out in his centipede and St. Augustine. So I'd be going with something like 3 and 3. And here's another thing. I don't know if he knows this, but tenacity is highly usable on centipede, especially centipede. Centipede is extremely tolerant of tenacity.
But St. Augustine is not in that type of scenario. If you're okay with it going white for 6 weeks, then you're probably okay. But if you're not okay with that, then don't. Because I think it's a mixed centipede St. Augustine yard. I think it's kind of intertwined.
Okay, because the other thing that I'd probably tell you is that if it were me, Matt, I would smoke off the St. Augustine and keep it all centipede. Earmuffs, Matt.
Warn me next time so I can do the headphones like this and I don't have to hear them.
No, because I had experience maintaining a mixed centipede and St. Augustine lawn, and in the end, you know what that lawn got, Matt? 2 apps of cefoxidim.
Okay.
And you know why? I wanted
to get rid of the St. Augustine.
Yeah, the mother frickin' St. Augustine had to go, because there's no way I could maintain a lawn that had patches of St. Augustine that wanted to grow 4 inches tall in a week, whereas the centipede would only grow up like about a half an inch in a week. There's no way I could live with that. So I had to say aloha to the St. Augustine.
With that, I think we covered all the mailbag. Is that right, J Pink?
That's right.
All right. We are going to head over to the show after the show. Listen, this is going to be grown men talking about grown men topics. If you are not into that kind of thing, if you can't handle bad words, or you just do not enjoy humor altogether, it is not for you, and that is 100% okay. You do not have to be a part of the show after the show. However, if that is what you're into and you do want to hear the next piece of content, that's a little bit more personal and a little bit more unfiltered. By a little bit more, I mean extremely unfiltered. You get one opportunity and one opportunity alone that lasts 10 minutes to be able to view it, and then it is gone into the ether forever, never to be seen again. There's no kept copies of this whatsoever. But you do have to become a member, and you can do so 2 ways. You can go to patreon.com/burn and return, and for the cost of an airport beer, you do get access to the show after the show. Or you can become a member here on YouTube, hit the join button, and you'll get access to a private Discord that will allow you to do that. So thank you all for watching. We'll catch y'all on the Sunday recording of the next episode of Burn and Return. Otherwise, we'll see you in the show after the show.
Bye.
Bye bye.